Investors are on the verge of panic. All across the American West and California, raging fires have decimated, leaving nearly $200 billion in destruction in their wakes, and new evacuation orders just were announced right before we were live. Welcome all to the Blockchain Basement. I'm your host, The Truth. My co-host, the Agent of Chaos.
Double A, crypto, at your service.
God, I appreciate you on days like this. Oh my God.
It's been a fast one. It's been a very fast-moving day.
So we've seen some cataclysmic movements from the wildfires in California, folks. And really, it's a ground-shaking situation out in California right now. My hearts go out to everyone that's being affected in the state of California, largely because of poor policy and potentially even because of what no one wants to talk about, which would be widespread arson, right? They've arrested many arsonists in the state of California over the last few weeks here. But we are seeing something roll out that could be much worse than what we've even seen yet. This is from Mario in our fall, talking about 10 million people being warned to prepare for evacuation. Santa Ana winds up to 70 miles an hour are set to roar back today, putting the entire Los Angeles County population of 10 million people on high alert for a potential evacuation. Officials are bracing for what they're calling a particularly dangerous situation. The fires have already claimed 24 lives, destroyed 12,300 structures, and forced 100,000 people to flee. I believe that this death count is going to go up in a very, very big way. I think they're understating what the death count actually is. Palisades fire has scorched 37 square miles and is currently at 14% containment levels, while the Eaton fire, almost the size of Manhattan, is 33% contained. Newsom says that this could rank as one of the worst disasters in U.S. history, with damages estimated at up to $150 billion. High winds ready to fan the flames. The battle is far from over. Some video, some picture from the wildfires over there, but really, $150 billion I feel like is an estimate. And here's my hot take that you're going to get exclusively on the Blockchain Basement. They are underselling the amount of economic pain that is going to be felt from these fires so far. It's from Fortune magazine. LA Inferno could inflict $150 billion in economic wounds with a grueling 10-year recovery ahead. Wildfires ripped through more than about 20,000 acres, around twice the size of Manhattan, and left 10,000 plus structures destroyed. You see how the number changes. They're padding down the numbers as much as possible because they don't want people to realize how bad the situation actually is. The damage and economic loss could add up to between 135 and 150 billion. That is absolutely coming to $200 billion. They are underselling this in a big, big way. I'm looking at $200 billion for the damage so far. Based on similar disasters, rebuilding the wildfire-affected areas could take 5 to 10 years. Founder of Resilience Action Fund, Aris Papadopoulos, a nonprofit, helped raise awareness about building resilience in homes against natural disasters, said that when the smoke clears, around 1/3 of property owners will sell and leave the area, while another third of the wealthier residents will rebuild within 3 to 5 years, and the remaining third of people who are not wealthy enough to or be insured well enough to take up the damages could take up to a decade to rebuild. This is freaking nuts. This is going to have major implications for housing costs in the states where these California refugees are going to choose to move to. Californians make a lot of money in comparison to the rest of the country. What I experienced in Colorado set as one of the biggest sought after pieces of real estate for people from California to grab. And I saw homes go from $150,000 a unit up to $600,000, $700,000 in a very, very short amount of time, thus pushing the natives of Colorado like myself out of the ability. And I did own a $600,000 home, but to continue owning a $500,000 home when it really is a tiny yard, a tiny amount of space that you get, and really the inability to effectively and in a prosperous manner grow a family of 4 children and a beautiful wife, I had to flee Colorado because of the price increases that came to it from California data developers. It was a bunch of software engineers, a bunch of well-paid work remote people, basically bought the homes off the internet. They didn't even use them. I swear to God, I would drive down the road and there'd be half of them would be left empty for a half year's time. They'd come there and visit or whatever and go skiing. But it cooked the prices to the absolute sky for me as a Colorado resident and forced me to find a cheaper area to live to effectively grow a family of 6. And this, I think, is going to have major implications. I think that we're going to see people fleeing to locations like Texas Arizona, more people to Colorado, more people to Florida. I don't know if Georgia's really on the get list for people from California.
Nah.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. There's nothing to do here.
We seem more like the mark for New Yorkers, right?
Yeah, we're like, if people want to get out of New York, they go to Atlanta because it's the next best thing in New York. You know?
Pretty much. That's what they do. And you get kind of a similar type of situation with housing cost increases. But I do believe that this massive destruction of property and change of economic scenery is going to take a major effect on our housing costs in specific cheaper to live locations. Now, hop over to here. The next story is highlighting Gavin Newsom claiming he is ready for Marshall Plan 2.0. Let's have a listen to this.
Over the course of the next several years, Los Angeles will be host to the World Cup and then the Super Bowl and then the Olympics. With this rebuilding effort needing to take place, is LA going to be ready for all of those global events?
My humble position, and it's not just being naively optimistic, that only reinforces the imperative moving quickly, doing in the spirit of collaboration and cooperation. President of the United States, Donald Trump, to his credit, was helpful in getting the Olympics to the United States of America, to get it down here in LA. We thank him for that. This is an opportunity for him to shine, for this country to shine, for California and this community to shine. The opportunity with all of that and all that opportunity and that pride and spirit that comes from not just hosting those three iconic games and venues, but also the opportunity, I think, to rebuild at the same time. And that's why we're already organizing a Marshall Plan. We already have a team of looking and reimagining LA 2.0, and we're making sure everyone's included, not just the folks on the coast, people here that were ravaged by this disaster.
So I think it's pretty interesting to hear him give Donald Trump some credit. In the Marshall Plan 2.0, it's not martial law, God forbid. Really hope it's not martial law. But at large, what he's talking about is a redevelopment of the area of Los Angeles to rebuild. And to rebuild for what? Well, here's what they're rebuilding for. The 2028 Olympics. Could it be that the fires were started on purpose by humans or satellites to clear the area for a redevelopment of Los Angeles in preparation for the 2028 Olympics? I'd say potentially including the historic Riviera Golf Club and the UCLA campus. This is just a highlight. After destroying neighborhoods and waterfront mansions, the intensifying infernos now pose a very real threat to the city's third Summer Olympics in 2028. Flames continue to inch ever closer to these venues, including the historic Riviera Golf Club and the UCLA campus. I would not be surprised if this was the case. Honestly, with the new evacuation orders, with the very scary highlight of the high winds today and new evacuation orders, when they call conspiracy theorists crazy, but if you look at what happened in Maui, a lot of those people weren't approved to get their insurance payouts, and those locations are bought out by developers. Those developers are turning them into 3A mixed-use developments and thus further pushing the 15-minute city narrative towards us. I would not be surprised, and honestly, I do feel it in my gut. I feel something nefarious. We looked at last week. These fires started in 3 different locations all at the same time. The likelihood of that happening, very, very minimal. Now, these same pattern happened in Colorado when I was in Colorado, and those massive fires happened in Colorado.
Yeah.
All of the different fires, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 different fires started at the very same time. And, thank God Colorado was able to stop the fires, but the 3 homes that I grew up in and the entire neighborhood that I grew up in, burned to the crisp, burned down. All of it gone. And now the redevelopment is largely mixed use 3A development, which is your shopping center, your bank on the bottom end of this living location. And then they stack you up like canary birds above it because they pay for one spot of tax and they get to house 3 to 5 different families above a retail location that's bringing in revenue. Very nefarious plan. And honestly, I want to believe in the good in the world and that this is not happening. But the more coinkydinks I see, the harder it is to believe that this is all by chance. And I really try to leave it in my heart open for these are just coincidences, maybe just some bad planning. But the more I see these developers set up to buy up all the locations, the more I see government policies set up to block the residents from rebuilding, and the more I see of insurance companies Olympics knowing to pull out insurance policies months beforehand leads me to believe, too, there is a plan at hand here. And here is Gavin Newsom saying the quiet part out loud.
We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days.
So notice he doesn't say we're moving forward to stop these takeovers from corporate interests that are working behind the scenes and through the books. He's moving to move them forward, right? He's pushing them to happen quickly because guess what? They need the place rebuilt for the Olympics, right? It's not in your interest if you live in California. It's not in your interest to rebuild your home. It's in the government interest to act like the King Kugla, to act like they own the world and that they can rebuild the city within a few years' time for the Olympics, which are slated to happen in 2028. But there's honestly very slim chance, in my opinion, that they'll be able to fully rebuild by that time to make the Olympics happen. This is a question. If the Olympics aren't able to happen in LA, which city gets chosen for the 2028 Olympics? We're not just asking about where's someone going to play some games. We're talking about billions of dollars in infrastructure upgrades. Which city in America could you see taking the spot if LA doesn't get it?
Miami.
You think Miami?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Miami just seems like hand in hand in a way.
Okay.
When it comes to money and the kind of like the culture, and not necessarily culture, but like lifestyles of LA and Miami. They're kind of like similar.
I could see that. Miami, that's a good pick. I would have to say, and let me know in the chat where you think if they have to change venues. This is not saying if it's going to be difficult to rebuild the infrastructure, but if they have to choose which city is going to get it, I'd say Denver. Why do you say Denver?
You
don't have the difficulty. Like New York is largely built out.
Right? Oh yeah, that wasn't even like in my top 5.
Yeah, New York is largely built out. I think you could probably, and then maybe this is just me being a Colorado native, but I think Denver's a good option. People think it's Chicago, very liberal potential. Austin, Texas, Arlington, Texas. Vegas is a good pick.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Vegas is a good pick. Omaha, Nebraska. Dude.
Atlanta, Georgia. All right, buddy.
Imagine if they go do the Olympics in Omaha, Nebraska, and all of a sudden, like, real estate's worth like $600,000 in Omaha. Oh my God. South Bend, Las Vegas. A lot of people thinking Vegas. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's between Vegas and Miami on this one.
Yeah, Vegas is where we're doing our Bitcoin conference too. I better be going out to that.
I know.
I better be going out to that.
Me too. They better let me do stuff.
Yeah. Now, here's just things that make you scratch your head and wonder, maybe. Right. A lithium plant just discovered by Los Angeles fire officials in the fire areas. Maui 2.0, another land grab involving lithium. Do not second guess what this has been all about. Might just be a grab for resources and land. Let's have a listen to what they found out in LA.
With the hazmat, we have found a underground lithium battery storage plant for bicycle batteries that has posed a huge hazard in that area. We are working with the hazmat teams to keep that contained. So a lot of that is just very dangerous. As you just heard, the air quality in some of that area is still very, very high and dangerous.
Very dangerous lithium production spot that was accidentally within the fire zone. Who knows? Maybe they're trying to produce, because that's been a thing that Elon Musk has talked about quite a bit, is that America needs to start producing its own lithium. And now we see all this action happening in California, developers swooping in, insurance policies canceled months beforehand. It makes you wonder. Now, Elon Musk has deployed some Cybertrucks down there. This has a positive and a negative form. This is a post from Elon Musk. Please be careful in the areas. There's a non-zero risk of armed looters. Cybertruck side panels are bulletproof to subsonic projectiles like handguns, shotguns, and Tommy guns, but the glass is not. So make sure to duck if you see anyone wielding a gun. This is not fiction. There have been multiple reports of Elon Musk rolling out these Cybertrucks in response to it. If you're making a bulletproof vehicle, and you don't make the windows bulletproof, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what sense does that make?
I don't know.
It doesn't make much sense. Good on Elon for trying to deploy these things. I can never get on the idea that this is some sort of war tank. I mean, I just cannot. Limited range. Bullets can go through the window anyways.
Lithium battery that's set to explode if hit directly. You know, it's like it's not a tank. It's like a 4-wheel drive super bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Now, when we see an emergency situation like this and people, they love their Teslas, right? In an emergency situation like what we saw in California, in Maui, and many different locations, your range being limited is a very, very negative thing to have when it comes to fleeing problems, right? And everyone wants to drive around and live their lives acting like nothing can ever go wrong. We've seen it proved completely wrong time and time again. It's just localized with massive natural disasters. I really, really think that gas-powered vehicles, in my opinion, are something that I'll never be able to get away from because I, one, know how to fix them, and two, they have a much greater range to get me out of harm's way so that I don't really have to deal with that. Something very interesting that we saw as well on the safety side. If you're out there in California, watch out for this. Natural gas leaks everywhere.
Actively shutting off the gas to these.
Oh, listen to this. Oh my God, that stinks. Watch
Fucking electrical wires everywhere and shit.
Watch yourself. Come up. There you go. Nice. Nicely done.
Dozens of these gas
Look at this.
leaks have shut off today.
Imagine being one of the economic superpowers of America, one of the largest GDPs in the world. You have a natural disaster in your main population center, and you don't have the infrastructure to shut down the natural gas releases to that area. It really makes you wonder, like, how much do they actually care about people? They really not have the resources to go shut off the natural gas leaks? Do they not have the resources to shut off the main pipes to the locations and shut down energy? It's just so stupid. So I think what we're seeing in California is natural disasters is going to give a lot of economic stress to markets at large. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty. There's going to be a lot of worry. Make sure to stay based to this KDUC time frame. I love and appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you on tonight's video. Until then, take care. The Blockchain Basement is powered by Arculus. This is the world's leading crypto cold storage where you can easily secure, buy, swap, send, and receive all your crypto with a simple tap using 3-factor authentication to make sure to keep your assets safer than ever. Make sure to support the channel, use code BASE10, and click the link down in the description to get your hands on your security today.